You know what? Just a ton of stuff to get to today, so let's just jump right into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, first things first, the Faction 46 truck team has their driver, and it is going to be Thad Moffitt. He is ready to make a name for himself. Thad Moffitt will pilot the Faction 46 truck in 2024. Also in trucking news, Timmy Hill is going to run the full season in 2024 for Hill Motorsports with strong support from partners Units Storage and Coble Enterprises. So there you go. We know Timmy Hill is going to run full-time, and we know who is going to be in that Faction 46 truck. Of course, it was played up all week. A lot of people figured it out that it was going to be Thad Moffitt via his personal social media accounts, where he was saying basically he is going to be the 46th driver in the petty rotation as their numbers go, 43 or 42, 43, so on and so forth. So cool deal there. This from Jeff Gluck. Hunt Brothers Pizza is moving to Penske. The brand will be featured for select races, as Joey Logano's primary sponsor will also be an associate sponsor for Ryan Blaney. And you see right here, Team Penske says a new partnership is served. Hunt Brothers Pizza and Team Penske enter a multi-year partnership in NASCAR. So it should be interesting to see how many races they sponsor, and also interesting that it's not just going to be Joey Logano, but also you will see that on Ryan Blaney. No mention of Austin Cindric, but we'll see if maybe the deal trickles down to him at some point going forward in the future. On the same topic of sponsors, Toby Christie said Ziegler Auto is expected to announce a primary sponsorship deal with Carson Hocevar and Spire Motorsports for the 2024 season on Monday afternoon. The announcement is expected to come at 1 p.m. Eastern Time live stream on the Ziegler Racing Facebook. So obviously by the time you're seeing this, that deal probably will already have gone down. I'm recording this before 1 o'clock. When it actually uploads is anybody's guess. But yeah, so there you go. Carson Hocevar, we know who at least one of his sponsors is going to be for next season. Found this quote via the Daily Downforce and Joshua Lepowski. I kind of know what I'm doing, but not fully announced or confirmed yet. I'll end up hopefully doing 30 or even 40 races if I get enough mixed classes, but it'll be mainly the Xfinity Series, but a lot of Cup races and maybe some truck stuff too. Shane Van Gisbergen on Gypsy Tales podcast. So there you go. Looks like it's going to be 30 to 40 races on a mixed schedule, but most of that is going to be Xfinity and the Cup Series for Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG, next season. So it's going to be super interesting to see what he does and where all those starts are going to come from. So it sounds like they're pretty close to announcing something, but they don't want to announce it quite yet. This from the Money Lap and reposted by Adam Stern. In regards to the charter agreement, Adam Stern remarks, if the deal is not done by Daytona, it will start opening up the opportunity for teams to potentially pull stunts on the track, and there have been rumblings about teams somehow showing their displeasure to NASCAR during a race. There you go. Adam Stern said that on the Money Lap podcast. That is a really good podcast if you guys want to check that one out. But it brings up an interesting topic in these times of TV money and all this turmoil and stuff that NASCAR is going through right now. Is it really time for a strike or a demonstration by the teams? I know they want to get their money, but is this the best time to do it? So hopefully, best case scenario, hopefully they just get this thing figured out before the season starts. But if not, hopefully whatever they do on the racetrack doesn't turn the fans against the teams, because I feel like this is a situation where you got to play it delicately. Like, the teams want to get their money, and they deserve that TV money. They should definitely get more of the TV money cut, especially since NASCAR signed a bigger deal than they previously had. But you also don't want to run the risk of turning the fans against you. Look, the fans didn't do anything to you. This is a NASCAR issue, so you need to handle it with NASCAR. You don't need to take it out on the fans that paid money for a ticket, or in certain cases paid money for streaming to watch the races on TV. So it's questionable as to whether or not they should do something on the track, but we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully, like I said, they get it hammered out before the season starts. Mike Davis is moving on from the Dale Jr. Download. He posted this a few days ago. Thank you, downloaders, for making me part of your podcasting Tuesdays. Mondays, if you're an OG, for almost a quarter of my life, I'm off to create, produce, and focus on the future of Dirty Mo Media. A few shots from the early days, and you see the pictures below there. So there you go, kind of an ending of an era there. Mike Davis has been on the Dale Jr. Download since it started, and before that, he was on Dirty Mo Radio or something. I forget exactly what it was called, but he was on that before that happened. And so yeah, there you go. The original Dale Jr. Download was Matthew Dillner, Dale Jr. and Mike Davis, and now Dillner and Davis are now gone. So just going to be a whole different look for that show going forward. And it'll be interesting to see if they replace Mike Davis, who they replace him with, or if they just go with Jr. by himself going forward. So that'll be another interesting thing to look for going forward. But he is going to still stay with 30 Mo Media. He's just focusing on getting them more content overall going forward. This article from Joshua Lepowski of the Daily Downforce. I think this board would agree that our number one goal here is to get NASCAR back in Rockingham, says Dr. Rick Watkins via Matthew Sasser. And here are some bullet points from that conversation. According to Sasser, pandemic recovery grants were given out partially to racetracks across North Carolina. 18 million of those were given to North Wilkesboro Speedway, which returned to NASCAR in 2023. Rockingham got 9 million. Rockingham Speedway was a staple of the NASCAR schedule from 1965 until 2004. It was bought by ISC in 1999, and one of its dates was given to Auto Club Speedway in 2004. Soon afterward, SMI bought the track and gave the second Rockingham date to Texas Motor Speedway. Plenty of NASCAR fans have been asking for Rockingham to be added back to the schedule. The movement has ramped up some in the wake of North Wilkesboro Speedway returning to the schedule in 2023. The obvious goal is getting NASCAR back, not only for financial reasons, but for quality of life, bringing it back. Let's bring racing back to the Rock. That's what we're doing this for via Jeff Smart, via Matthew Sasser. So there you go. The good people of Rockingham County are trying to, or Richmond County maybe, are trying to bring Rockingham back. So we'll have to see what happens. It is independently owned right now. That is probably the biggest obstacle to getting a Cup date, but I could very easily see them getting a Truck or Xfinity Series date. So I would bank more on Xfinity or the trucks before you ever see a Cup date. So that's just my 2 cents on it, but it would be great to see it back either way. I think an Xfinity and a truck date for it would be super cool going forward. This via Marshall Pruitt of Racer Magazine. Honda is weighing IndyCar exit after 2026 unless costs are reduced. And the interesting quote, of course, from this article is this, for NASCAR fans at least: we're looking for a wholesale change to the engine regulations so that we can eliminate $5s and $10s of millions of dollars to our annual technical costs, Shifsky said, because if we don't, then it's too much money and we will go do something else. That something else could be NASCAR or further investment in our Formula One effort, or something that isn't even motorsports at all. So that got a lot of people talking about, is Honda thinking about coming to the Cup Series, which I think is a reasonable expectation. They've been talking about it for a long time. It actually brought to mind this article from 2020. Business limitations keep Honda out of NASCAR for now, via David Malsher Lopez. In this article, he said, almost a year on, Klaus said, I think we've got our hands full right now with IndyCar and getting on with IMSA DPI for next season. We'll see how that turns out. My suggestion is that more North American Motorsports is able to take advantage of existing investments across the series. It gives manufacturers a chance to do more than one thing. If every series requires a unique investment, especially in today's age, that will probably cause people to pause, because we can't be all things to all people. So I think for the time being, we're going to focus on IndyCar and sports cars on behalf of Honda Racing and Acura Motorsports. That's driven by business limitations more than anything else. So 2 key takeaways from that 2020 article where they were talking about this. He said basically IndyCar was holding them back from getting into other motorsports series. So if they divested of IndyCar, it would make sense to go to NASCAR if... Let's think about the Garage 56 thing, because the other thing he said is if you have to make a unique investment into each motorsport. Why did NASCAR go with this current generation of car that is like a sports car? Why did NASCAR run the Garage 56 deal? What if IMSA, and I'm just throwing this out here, this is just me randomly speculating, what if IMSA and NASCAR, when NASCAR does its new engine package, what if IMSA and NASCAR had a class that had the exact same engine, and Honda could run in IMSA, and Honda could also run in NASCAR, and not just Honda, but other manufacturers? So I think that is 100% what the Garage 56 deal was all about, and that's why we have the current Cup car that we have now, and why the current NASCAR leadership doesn't want to get off of this Cup car, because I think they have a grander picture for it in the future where you see multiple manufacturers in the Cup Series. But like I said, that's just my 2 cents, and that's why I have thought this for a long time as to why we switched over to this current Cup Series car. And finally, a lot of you know that the Winston Cup Museum is shutting down, but apparently they're in a little bit of legal trouble because of a video. Let's get into this article from Matt Weaver and the Sports Knot. In the video, over a narration, Stapleton says, maybe you've seen stuff about the lawsuit surrounding it. The questionable, at best, United States judicial system has allowed a large company to bully this guy into closing his museum. That is the sort of narrative that IHG Brands took exception to in filing the motion for contempt. Mr. Spencer and the museum plainly encouraged and aided the interviewer in disparaging ITG in further violation of judgment by participating in and promoting the video and then celebrating the video on the Winston Cup Museum Facebook page. So there you go. In my opinion, that completely sucks. And also, in my opinion, that's why when you make videos like that, you always have to say allegedly or in my opinion, because otherwise, in my opinion, these crappy brands like ITG, in my opinion, can throw frivolous, in my opinion, lawsuits at you for no other reason than they got butt hurt, in my opinion. So there you go. Hate to end this off on a bummer like this, but yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully they get that all sorted out. And unfortunately, it was a great video by Stapleton, but he had to take it down, and it is what it is, in my opinion. All right, that's all I got for you in this one. If you've made it this far, I would love to have your subscription. If not, I'll keep making these until I get one. If you're already subscribed, you know I appreciate you guys as well. If you want to help out the channel, visit the merch store. We have buy one, get one off on the t-shirts. You won't see it until you get it to the checkout, but once you get it to the checkout, you will see the second shirt is free. And if you got a question or comment or anything like that, would love to see it down in the comments below, because I try to get to as many of them as I can. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.